Gloom Predator Bugs are fast becoming our most worthy adversaries with their lightning-fast agility, lethal aggression, and deadly detonations. That means your loadout needs to be balanced. You'll need damage output to put them down fast, and crowd control to stop getting overwhelmed, which can easily happen, especially in the new urban settings. With that in mind, here are the best primary weapons, support choices, and stratagem picks for tackling this terrifying menace. Drop your thoughts and go-to picks in the comments below. First up, let's break down some of the best primary weapons you can take into the Gloom. I'm kicking things off with a bold claim. The Blitzer is hands down the top choice for venturing into this hostile environment. However, there's a major caveat which we'll get into in a moment. The Blitzer excels at crowd control, stagger, and ammo economy thanks to its energy-based design. You can dive right into the action, cycling shots through the horde to keep enemies in check. It's an incredibly comfortable and rewarding weapon to use. However, in the current meta, it does lack raw firepower to kill enemies, and because we're getting overwhelmed by so many, this can prove to be a problem compared to other primary weapons. That's where Loadout synergy becomes crucial. To truly elevate the Blitzer to an S tier pick, your backpack and support stratagems must complement it. Running the Blitzer, gas dog, gas grenade can work really well, don't get me wrong, but this leans heavily into CC and the support role. If you want to maximize your damage potential, take advantage of the Blitzer and using that crowd control to allow normal rover or laser dog to put in a much more healthy damage output and keep thinning those ranks out, folks. Now, on the topic of damage output, whilst I think the Blitzer is an absolute powerhouse, I know some of you, including Mr. Thick Fillet, would argue that the Cookout shotgun is actually a better pick. And honestly, I've thought about this and they make a really strong case. The Cookout hits harder than the Blitzer, it still offers great stagger and crowd control, and it has one huge advantage. It can stack damage over time with fire, and of course, if you're applying gas. That means if you spray into a horde, you're not just knocking them back, you're melting their health down rapidly, especially when you build around it properly. So I've got to ask, where do you stand on this? Are you Team Blitzer with its infinite ammo and insane crowd control, or Team Cookout with its high damage and dot stacking? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. It is your light horde clear choice and is designed to deal with chaff, not heavy targets. It can one-tap hunters and warriors, especially if you get all the pellets to land, and this will either kill them outright or let the fire damage drain the rest of their HP away, with the exception of spewer enemies. Even the new Predator brood suffers against this shotgun, and it really shines against Predator hunters in particular. You can literally shoot them once, it will set them on fire, applying a dot, which will then see them quickly burn to their death. So you can essentially just spread this fire damage around with one shot and forget about hunters, because they will die very quickly after they've been hit, which is a great place to be in, folks. You can also reload one ammo after every shot if you work this in rhythmically. This weapon also does really well at dealing with shriekers, which we affectionately refer to on stream as flappies. Tap them with one shot and set them on fire, and this is always enough to bring them crashing to the ground. Once you get used to the projectile travel time and the speed, you can actually start sniping these annoying suckers from quite far away. The Scorcher is absolutely cracked against bugs as well, with its savage damage output, rapid rate of fire, and respectable ammo pool, coupled with the ability to shoot out charger weak spots very swiftly. You get an incredible punchy bang for your buck primary weapon. It goes really well in CC heavy loadouts, and I had an absolute blast running this with one of the gas dogs and the MG43. This thing can even dispose of bile titans if you find yourself in a pinch and you're prepared to use a lot of the ammo. Not ideal, but a nice option to have when needs be. Now, this one really surprised me, but I am loving using the Concussive Liberator. It really shines at bullying non-heavy Terminids around the battlefield with ease. It shreds hunters and warriors, and much like the Blitzer, it needs to be said that this weapon needs the right setup to hit peak performance. You need to pair it with support weapons and stratagems that can do the heavy lifting on damage, because it does lack there. It really thrives in bullet hell setups, think Rover, Stalwart, MG43, Gatling sentries, or if you're running Tesla towers or anything that capitalizes on crowd control, this thing fits right in. One setup I had massive success with, pairing it with the arc thrower. That thing is absolutely cracked when it comes to raw damage and dealing with large groups, but it struggles when mobs get too close. That's where the concussive comes in. Swap, blast, create space. It's also clutch for protecting sentries and teammates from getting swarmed. A really interesting one to try out, folks. Honorable mentions go to the crossbow and the torture, but I don't want this video to drag on too long, but they will be featured in future videos. Before we get into the other choices, it would be incredibly helpful if you could like the video if you're finding it useful and enjoyable. It really helps push the video out there, and having taken a small break from Helldivers 2, this would be super appreciated. Of course, if you're also enjoying the video, please do sub to the channel to keep informed. There's also the Phase Shift Community Discord, which you can join to keep up to date with all things PSC and find groups for a range of games that we cover here, such as Helldivers, Space Marine 2, and other co-op games. Now, back to the video. What about that support weapon? In terms of my own personal preference, I like to use the arc thrower, as this gives us the ability to deal with the new and regular enemies at long range, and it also offers us even more of that delicious staggering CC that we really need to make the most of, allowing us to lock down breaches and large patrols with ease. The arc thrower beams jump to multiple targets, allowing you to very quickly rack up insane kill counts and neutralize threats before they even get to you, folks, and this offers ultimate control of the battlefield. I can't understate this. It is so strong. You can also stun lock chargers, deal with shriekers super easily, which is a really nice touch and something that I think this is better than the flamethrower at. The MG43 and the Stalwart have both really impressed me when loadout testing, and I know there's a large divide between which one is better. In my opinion, both are absolutely cracked, and it's more of a choice of what's your favorite flavor. Do you like to be able to be more mobile and quick on the reloads whilst relishing the opportunity to spray down hordes of chaff with ease? Then in that case, the Stalwart with its light armor pen and better ergonomics will be the go-to. However, if you prefer medium armor pen with the ability to absolutely shred alpha commanders, bile spewers, and even do decent work to charge at weak spots, then the MG43 will be the way to go. Just make sure you couple these with decent primaries. I find these both work particularly well with any CC focused primary, or the Scorcher goes absolutely fantastically well with the Stalwart to compensate for the lack of medium pen. Just make sure you turn both onto maximum RPM for the ultimate bullet hell experience. And a little side comment to mention, if you want to have loads of fun, then bring the GAT Sentry and the normal Rover together. It is awesome. Next up, it's everybody's favourite cheese cannon, the Queso, the Quasar cannon, for all the obvious reasons. Infinite ammo, the ability to one-shot Bile Titans, Chargers and Impalers, especially when you get them with those cheeky little armpit shots. This just allows you to take the pressure off whenever there's a lot of heavies on the field, and it's a really solid pick in my opinion. It works fantastically well when you're in a group of 4 and you're in communication and you just call out Bile Titan, someone use a Quasar, pop, it's dead. Synchronize this, pick your targets, and you will have a really easy time using this in this loadout, folks. The grenade launcher is a premier horde clear choice that allows us to rapidly spam down any group composition as it advances. It is particularly lethal against bile spewers, which compensates nicely for the weakness of the Cookout shotgun, and these are appearing to spawn a lot more since this recent update with the Predator strain emerging. Spamming around 4 well-placed shots into the rear weak spot of a charger will allow us to dispose of these quickly, and if a Bile Titan is a bit damaged, you can also spam these down with the grenade launcher too, which is a nice touch. You can also deal with bug holes, and you can also just generally dispose of most patrols before they even get to you with some well-placed shots. I would again recommend bringing stratagems that deal with heavy targets with this loadout, and ensure that the gas dog and the stun/gas grenades are on duty here to keep the battlefield locked down. Stratagem choices are super dependent on your team's loadout, but with the Gloom variant, I found that anything that can delete heavies is a must, especially with all the heavy backpack use we've got in play. First up, the 500 kg. It doesn't take much explanation, folks. It wrecks everything when it lands properly, of course. The orbital precision strike, super low cooldown, can one-shot any heavy. Perfect if your squad is lacking heavy damage. Gas strike, insane crowd control. Stacks beautifully with fire builds. Anything that needs keep things in place while you rain the pain is is an absolute belter here. Orbital Napalm, a monster for nests, mega nests, and breaches. You've just got to watch that cooldown because it is very lengthy, but it's a great option, folks. And Eagle Napalm. If you want full horde clear duty on your CV, this is your go-to. It melts breaches instantly. It's superb for biding your time while the tide of bugs runs towards you. And moving into the blue stratagems, my top picks right now are any of the rovers. So the gas is absolutely amazing at CC. It pairs perfectly with things like the scorcher, the machine guns, the grenade launchers for mopping up things that require the damage output while they're staggering around like they've had 10 pints. The bullet rover for bullet hell supremacy works insanely well with the arc thrower, the bullitzer and concussive builds. It just rains in the pain. The laser is the same as the bullet rover. It just melts everything in its path. I'm actually preferring the bullet rover, though, over this at the moment. And, of course, the supply backpack, essential for keeping any ammo-hungry loadouts like the grenade launcher or the scorcher builds fed. And it also helps your team out as well, folks. In terms of sentries, honestly, anything seems to be working right now, but my personal top picks are the Gatling and the Tesla, shredding chaff enemies effortlessly, as long as you can keep the enemies away from them. So Minefield can also help a little bit here as well, and also using the concussive liberator to push things away is also a nice little touch there. The auto cannon turret's absolutely cracked for heavy damage, and if your squad's lacking in this area, you will be really well liked. In terms of grenades, this is very straightforward. It's either stun or gas all day. They are both just too good to pass up on, especially with the current meta, but for me personally, gas is just edging it there. Thermite is also great if your team already has enough CC and you need more heavy killing power. In terms of armor, light, medium, or heavy, it all comes down to your playstyle. I usually play light, but I've been loving heavy armor recently. I usually like to be quick and nimble, but the extra tankiness and resistance to those explosions is really too good to pass up on now, and I'm using either the medic passive. It's absolutely goated. It lets you heal through damage. It gives you more stims. You take damage quite a lot, so what's not to like? And of course, Siege Ready is super useful when you are trying to kind of just get more bang for your buck on your primary weapons, folks. Secondaries, of course, no-brainer. You're either going with the ultimatum for that pocket nukey goodness, or the grenade pistol, so you can be of service to your team, shutting down those bug holes and also dealing with bile spewers when you're in a pinch. Oh, and of course you can also deal with charges if you get accurate with it. Check out this next video. It's got you covered. Take care of yourselves, keep having fun, come check out a stream on YouTube or Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one.